Donna's going to be discussing with us the law of attraction and manifesting for business. The young Donna here, she experienced domestic violence at the age of 21, sadly. And her journey has been one of realisation, inner healing, self-care and education. And she still educates herself today by upskilling her knowledge and her expertise. Through her experiences, Donna has found her learnings and connecting to new networks that her inner journey started. Completing her journey through Bob Proctor's Institute, Donna gained a deeper understanding on the cause and effect via the universal laws and vibrational energy. Donna is I don't know what SMJ stands for, but I'm sure she'll tell me, certified international coach and speaker. She's a clinical hypnotherapist, an NLP practitioner, a psychic protection healer, and an international award-winning coach for 2022 by the Influential Businesswoman Awards. Congratulations. Donna helps 3 types of clients today using 3 significantly different programs tailored for each client type, and is the founder of Unique Vibrations Coaching, shifting her focus to brand, law of attraction coaching, and a manifestation expert. She's the author of 7 Steps to Emotional Freedom, Beating Domestic Violence, Exposing the Dark from Behind Closed Doors, Beat Self-Sabotage, and a collaborative book called Bare Naked and the Beautiful Journey from the Me Too to Me Free is a compilation book with 14 other women from around the world, and her latest book, Beyond the Darkness, Secrets Uncovered. So welcome to the presentation, sorry, mind block, the lovely Donna Ferguson. Donna, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm looking forward to your presentation on manifesting for business. And
thank you very much for having me. And just to clarify, SMJ is Sharon Marie Jerd Coaching Institute. So
yes, I couldn't, I had a mental block and I couldn't remember.
Thank you so much. I'll just get my share screen up. Thank you. And I'll pop that on the slideshow so it's nice and easy for everyone to see. So today, thank you so much for having me, Rose, and what a wonderful contribution you're making for business owners. So today I want to share my 7 steps from broken to butterfly. And my story will start with my broken story. I'll move into my healing, my self-sabotage, overcoming fear, empowerment, knowing who you are, and the butterfly evolves. And you know, I can remember very early hours of December the 23rd, 1978. And if you can just take yourself back, that's how long ago I experienced my journey. And it was around 1 a.m. in the morning, and it was only just 28 days after my wedding day, when I was woken in the middle of the night. And as I sat up in bed with such a startle, I began looking around the room to find a reason for that sudden awakening. My heart was absolutely pounding, and I was still wondering what had happened to awaken me so suddenly, and feeling in a great, overwhelming, mad panic. And when I was looking around the room, you can imagine in the middle of the night, it's dark. And when you suddenly wake up, you're trying to adjust your vision to regain the focus from being asleep to having, you know, in the dark, and being able to adapt that night vision that we need to have. And I really couldn't see anything around that could have caused that. And when I suddenly looked down at my husband, who was laying beside me, it suddenly dawned on me, and all I could see was this very grey, steel-coloured, cold eyes looking back at me, asking me what had happened. You know, I'd asked what had happened, and because I was trying to find a reason why I'd suddenly woken up, and of course there was no response to that. So as I started to lay back down, I was still very confused as to what had woken me up so suddenly. And the fear and the heart pounding was really beyond anything I'd ever felt before. So as I suddenly started to lay back down, I realized very, very clearly, and I had a great understanding of what had woken me. Because as I started to lay back down, there was a closed fist that just came across the side of my face into my nose and knocked me so hard that I thought my nose was broken. And I felt like I was almost knocked out by that. And it was a really hard punch. And that for me was the beginning, of this horrific domestic violence that I'd never experienced before. So this went on for the next 7 hours. I was laying in bed and I was dragged out of bed and, dragged along the floor by the hair, and, I was beaten all over, my face, my head, pulled around the room, like I said, by my hair. And I was used as an ashtray to put cigarettes out. And I felt myself succumbing to, that pain and the results of the beatings several times during the course of that next 7 hours. And I felt myself just slipping in and out of consciousness. In fact, I didn't even know at that point if I was going to live or die. As the sun started to rise the following morning, I got up from the floor and I went into the bathroom. I wanted a shower, but as I looked at the reflection in the mirror looking back at me, I couldn't recognize who it was looking back at me. I had no recollection of what that face was. And, I was so bruised. I was so battered. My face was so swollen. I could only see out of a small slit in one eye, and the clumps of hair that were missing out of my from my head. And I was starting to feel really ashamed for what I'd experienced, and I had no idea what to do, where to go, or even how to manage what I'd just experienced. It was the next two. It was only 2 days before Christmas, 23rd of December. I didn't want to spoil the joy of my family's Christmas. I knew they were all gathering at my mother's place, and, not being able to recognize myself, I didn't want to put that on them at that point in time. And, it was extremely sad and devastating to have those thoughts that if they could see me right now, how they would feel. It was at that moment that I actually felt so broken inside and out. And after I managed to shower and dress, all I wanted to do was get out. I made my way down to the car and I drove for what seemed like forever. Now, at this point, I was living in Canberra. And for those that don't live in Australia, that's the capital of Australia. It's where all the politicians that you see walking around Parliament House. So I still don't know how I managed to even drive in that condition, because what I'd been through the night before was so traumatic and so horrific that I don't know how I got in the car and drove and stayed awake and conscious during that. The next 3 days and night I spent in an area out at the Cotter Dam, which is the water supply area, or was the only water supply area in Canberra at that time. And, it was very isolated at night. So I made sure that I was parked near the facilities because they had lights on at night there. And during the day, I parked and hid amongst the trees as much as I could. I had no water, I had no money with me, and I knew at some stage I would need to go home and face whatever it was that I was about to walk into. And for me, it felt like it was just a monster that had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't know if he was going to start beating me again, or whether everything would be okay. So after the 3 nights, I did go home because I desperately wanted to shower. I wanted to wash my mouth out because all I could taste was this old blood in my mouth. And, again, completely unaware of what I was going to walk into. But as I walked into, unlocked the door and walked into the home, I was met with apologies and flowers and declarations of undying love, and, to forever love me, and promise that it would never, ever happen again. And you can imagine my surprise, not ever having experienced this. I didn't know anything about domestic violence. It had not been in my realm of upbringing anywhere. I'd never heard of it. I'd never seen it. And I'd never even, had friends that were in that position, or certainly not that they were talking about. And so I believed everything that was said and felt like it was a one-off occurrence. That was, of course, until it happened again and again and again. Never to this extent. I felt like it was never as bad as that one night, that first night, but the cycle of domestic violence had begun and I was in it. That was so traumatic for me. It was such a horrific experience. And then after my daughter was born, I was told to resign from my public service job, where I was on good money and I could go back there. I was getting ready to go back. In fact, I'd weaned my daughter and was ready 3 months later to move back, when I was told to resign, because he wanted the money. He wanted the funds that was, I was entitled to actually, get us. I don't even know where it was going. He'd run out of money and obviously had no job. And so for me, it was about getting the funds. And then 2 months later, when all the money had gone, I was told I had to go back and get a job. So for me, it was starting that process again of getting back into the workforce with a young child. And, I had found a job that I liked and applied for it. And I was on my way to the interview when I had this sudden feeling of fear that had overcome my whole being. And it literally consumed me. But I knew that I had to do everything in my power to feel like I was okay when I was talking, because I felt like if I ever had gone through that job interview and gone home, I would not live to see another day, and I would not live to see my daughter again, and I would never see my family again. I knew, as I said, I had to contain that fear, or I would find myself in that position where my life would end. For the second time in my life, I felt that there was an experience of what I now know as my divine intervention. It's the law of attraction, my angel guidance, whatever it is for you, whatever you want to call it. And, I'd come out of the interview and walk downstairs, and without any preconceived ideas or predetermined decisions that I'd made. And I was led out in the opposite direction and to a taxi rank, where I jumped in a taxi and asked them to drive me to my mother's work. I had no money on me. I didn't even have $1 to pay for that ride. And when I arrived at my mum's workplace, I had to run inside and get the money and then go back out. But what I did know, for the first time in a very long time, since I'd experienced that very first domestic violence experience, that it was the first time I'd felt safe while I was sitting in that taxi. I felt safe. I didn't feel like he was following me. I didn't feel like he had his eyes on me. And the moment I got out to go in and get the money for the taxi, and my mum was frantic as she saw me there on my own, and I wanted that money so badly from her to go and pay for the ride, that because again, that fear had come up within me, and all I was thinking was, he's going to find me. But I had created enough power to leave by trusting the process of what would be. And that is something that is so powerful. When you find that within yourself, it's quite an incredible step. And so my second step is all about the healing. And from the age of 7, I knew that there was more to my life. I knew that I was supposed to be more. I knew that I had a true purpose in life, even though I didn't really know what that was at age 7, but I knew it was about helping people. I knew that I was capable of doing so much more, and what my parents, so much more, but also more than what my parents had achieved. And this was from that age of 7. And growing up, we didn't have things like motivational speakers or positive thinking or law of attraction or all those things that go with that. We didn't have that educational experience. It was all about school and knowledge and, going to work and getting, a good job and working hard for your money, and life wasn't meant to be easy. All those sayings that we grew up with in the late 50s and 60s. And lots of conditioning that led us to the beliefs that I carried around for many years. And, that was also part of the healing that I had to then process to get to a point where, I could let go of all of that. And I did unknowingly manage to do some positive writing and visualization for myself, even though I didn't know I was doing that at the time. And, at the age of 7, again, I received this message from my higher self, saying that I would have everything I ever wanted in life. And I kept saying it over and over and over for the whole day, that I would never want for anything, that I would have my big home, I would have my beautiful car, I would have, a life of success and, money, and be able to afford anything that I wanted to have. And for some reason, that message within the next 24 hours had disappeared for over 40 years, and I was never able to reconnect with that message. So whatever happened that day or the following day blocked out from my mind everything that I had to recall about that moment. And I've come to know that it's okay to not know what those interruptions are in our life, that we are brought to the right places and the right space at the very moment that we are open to be able to receive it and implement it. And what's important is that we release everything that we experience in order for our higher selves to be able to open up and receive that. And that lets go and releases all those old feelings and emotions. And, that's all part of our healing journey. Whether we like it or not, we have to go through that. And while I was trying to manage my own healing without the resources that I now have, I'd spent decades just suppressing the experiences of domestic violence and other things that occurred in my life before that, and the feelings and emotions that went along with all of that. And like I said, I didn't have the resources, and now I do, and I'm able to work that very effectively. And I was like the caterpillar, all those years of suppressing what I felt. I felt like I had just come out of this cocoon and, had just sort of birthed into something that I hadn't quite grown into. I didn't discuss any of my domestic violence experience with anyone along those 40 years because I felt ashamed. I felt guilty. I felt alone. And, for over 4 decades, this was all being suppressed within me. And I would just keep pushing it down and pushing it down. And the first time that I actually had the courage to speak up and share my story was only in 2018, so not that long ago. And it was on a stage at an event that was live streaming to the world. And I thought, why not? Why not move through this and move past this in order for me to be able to start really healing? And that was for Australia, You Have a Voice. And I spoke for the very first time very openly about my journey. And it was frightening. But I got through it, and that's all that really matters. I found speaking after that was actually a way to release and heal, because I was actually also helping other people to help other people in the same situation. And I wanted them to know that, there's always hope on the other side of domestic violence, and that you can actually live an amazing life once you go through that. And for me, it did take years working out, how to really heal within, because if you're not healing within, you're not totally healing. I had to learn how to overcome those feelings, emotions, and pain. I knew that I had to do it right in order to be able to help people further. I knew that people were listening to what I had to say, and I knew that I was helping other people by sharing this story. And, I had to discover how to uncover an understanding of how to overcome that part of my life and give me the freedom and the knowledge, understanding, and flow that you need to be able to share this with others so that they don't have to hide away from their feelings, from their experiences, from their emotions, and from their beliefs, from their conditioning and programming. And they had, suffering and challenges along the way. So I knew that it was a way for me to help other people by sharing that story. And now as we move into one of the most common areas that we all experience, no matter what, we've all had this at some point in our life. And step 3 is a very, very important part of the journey, because I felt that I had unknowingly hung myself upside down to hide my true self. I knew that I had unknowingly hid myself away from being able to express who I was and what I was and where I was headed. I had no confidence, and I certainly had no voice until 2018. And, that is another way of hiding ourselves. We just shut down. We don't open up. And this was the only way that I knew to get through that repetitive patterns of self-sabotage, because nothing had worked up until that point. I was literally sabotaging everything great in my life due to not completing that inner healing and the processes that go with releasing all of that. Unconsciously, through my old programming and old stories, I found myself constantly doing this in every element of my life. It was in my relationships. It was in my financial success. It was in my health and well-being, and even to my beliefs, including my purpose in life. I had a spiraling pattern that went from having it all to losing it all to having it all back again and having it all and losing it all again and again. And it didn't matter what I did. You know, we were rich one moment and we were poor the next. And it didn't matter what I did. There was no balance there. And so I needed to work through a lot of stuff to find that balance. And what happens is when you don't realize what emotions that you're carrying or holding on to, as well as the feelings that you suppressed along with that as you move through life for years, decades, even months and days, it can affect us. And having a lack of awareness that I was emotionally connected to the wrong things when I was actually asking for more, my emotions were sabotaging what I really wanted. And that absolutely stopped me from creating more of what I wanted and continued to create more of the same. So let me ask you this. Have you ever lost something so valuable that you are scared to have it back again in fear that you will only lose it again? Then I can understand exactly how you feel, because I've been there. I've been there myself personally. So I know how to help people move through that. And let me ask you this next question. How much will it cost you to sabotage yourself again? And feel free to write that in the comments. I don't know if Rose has access to that, but feel free to, write that in the comments. We can come back to that later. But how much would it cost you next time if you were to sabotage yourself again? If you were to put a monetary value on that, what would that be worth to you? I know for me, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's probably even hit $1 million when I just quickly have things flashing through my mind right now. So to continue to stay living in fear, living without a voice, and living with disease, what is the monetary value that would cost you? Because you see, success can often equal more of the same, meaning it equals more pain if that's where you're coming from. So does your success fluctuate? And do you know why your success fluctuates? Well, I say honestly, with my hand on my heart, it stops due to the belief that you have around success. It literally stops the flow because the flow of belief around success stops moving. So if you're feeling stuck and can't see what comes next, then it's time to understand what you are emotionally connected to and how it keeps you in the same place. It took a while for me to fully understand this, and that's why I share all the success processes and tips with my clients, because I want them to overcome whatever it is blocking them, stopping them, limiting them. And knowing how to overcome that fear so that you can literally move forward is a key element to success. Which brings me to overcoming fear, which is, step 4 in the process. Fear is with us no matter what happens and what we do or how successful we are. I remember Bob Proctor very clearly stating from stage that didn't matter what he was going for next, that he would definitely have an element of fear that he needed to work through. And, he was very successful. That was only a few years ago. So he was already extremely successful, but he still had fear when it came to doing something, creating a new vision, creating a new goal. He would have fear around that. And, fear, I remember him clearly saying that we need to harness our fear to motivate our achievements. And fear can be harnessed to motivate us and encourage us how and when we step up, or it clearly holds us back. Once we understand the reasons behind the fear, then we begin to understand why most people stop when they feel that fear, or better known as staying in our comfort zone, instead of pushing through the fear to create more in their lives. Breaking through any fear really does require clarity on the vision that you have, clarity on the goals that you have, that you want to achieve, freeing up the mind to allow space for new opportunities to flow, and knowing how to navigate through that and through the old past programming and beliefs that have been instilled within us. You see, I'd been hibernating for so long that I just knew it was time for me to transform my whole self, my whole being. Our comfort zone creates our results, and pushing through fear creates our new or different results that we're looking to achieve. And if you have a look here, just on the other side of that wall, I don't know if you can see my red dot there on the pink piece on the other side of the wall. When you walk through that wall of fear, you will absolutely feel and see the magic happen. Pushing through that creates a different result, because we've broken down the walls that limit us, and it allows us to go through the fear, which is what we call growing. It's how we grow. It's how we change. And on the other side of the comfort zone, of our comfort zone, there is always going to be magic to embrace. It doesn't matter what happens. We are always going to find the magic on the other side of fear. And it's almost euphoric, you know, when we go through that and hit that. And so now into empowerment, step 5. Real empowerment came to me when I made the decision to take on the journey of educating myself, so that I could really, really understand how to release my life's experiences and trauma that were no longer serving me, and the attached emotions that went with them. I knew that I had suppressed all these feelings and emotions on a deeper level. And I really wanted to know how to let those emotions go. And instead of living with, you know, the anger, the blame, the guilt, the judgment, the shame, and everything else that goes with that. Staying connected to the emotions and the experience does create dis-ease within us. And when I understood how emotions do keep us connected to an experience, even if the experience is different, but you feel the same emotional state when something happens, then those emotions compound. They compound on what we already have held on to. And so even if it's a different experience, you can literally compound those emotions. And that's what makes it so hard to release, or not hard. It's not hard when you know how, but it's what holds us in that space and living in that victimhood, I guess you could say. So, you know, suppressing them creates that disease in our bodies, in our physical being. You know, I knew how to go about releasing them with the help of incredible coaches that I put on to help me do different things in my life and experience that, you know, and you know, people that I'm still working with today to help me continue to grow. Education is so important. Knowledge is key, and having a coach is a must. It doesn't matter what you do. Everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a coach. whether it's a life coach or a, a business coach, you cannot do business on your own. You cannot do it alone. You cannot do life on your own. You need help and support along the way. Yeah, doing the law of attraction has brought me to an understanding where anything is possible, especially when you ask for help, and realizing that we are all worthy, that we are able to fully release anger, guilt, shame, fear, and all of those other emotions, and change all that we are in order to become to release all that we were in order to become more of who we actually are today and living who we are in life today and stepping into our true self. And that's very liberating. We're not necessarily to blame for our journey, but we are responsible for the actions that we took in order to lead us into that journey. And like I said, it is extremely liberating when you are free of all of that. Freedom is such an important way of living your life, and nobody has to live in pain and suffering. But you do need to ask for help. So vibrationally, our energy changes. Sorry, I missed a slide. Changing the way we feel about ourselves does create change in our results. And it doesn't matter what we do, but we can reclaim an ease within our physical being. I know I did once I started to get rid of everything. When we do this, we can become clear with what we want mentally, and it's where our emotions are and how they begin to feel less confused, and spiritually we can then connect to our energy source to access a higher vibrational energy for us to work with. I activated something deeply within myself and had an absolute knowing that I was already all that I was supposed to be. And I was exactly where I was supposed to be in that moment. But that was 6 months or more ago. That was 12 months ago. And every time you feel like that, you actually start to grow again and you become more of who you're meant to be. And you get to share exactly who you are in that moment. But we continue to grow. And vibrationally, when our energy does lift, we begin to manifest all that we absolutely desire in life, and we connect to an inner wisdom that helps us to find clarity. It helps us to find the answers, and it helps us to find so much more. And so step 6 is all about knowing who you are. And by connecting to our inner emotions, feelings, and the fear, it's possible for us to see someone new. So how can you do this? Well, one way of doing this is by writing down our feelings and emotions, both our high vibrational emotions and our low vibrational emotions, and writing it down on paper. Because that vibrational energy that goes from pencil to paper is very powerful. That allows us to connect further to what we truly want. And it starts the process of feeling and believing in more of what we can achieve, and allows us to see our visualizations more clearly, and that we can actually be the reality of what we're writing down. So whatever we see, whatever we feel, whatever we believe is exactly what we receive back from the universe. For me, this was a time I began to really appreciate who I was and what and where my true purpose was. It was where I up-leveled my business to be solely working with law of attraction and helping other people to help more people to do the same. And you can too. I only did this about 12 months ago. I started working on completely being law of attraction because I implemented all of this in my daily life. What I didn't do was actually advertise that that is exactly who I was and what I was doing. And so for me, it became very relevant to step up into a new system, to step up into who I truly was. Because for me, I wasn't being my true self. I still felt this thing about hiding who I was and what I was doing. And now I'm very open about it. And I'm able to lift that law of attraction, vibrational energy, and lift who I am. And when we tell our stories, whatever they are, but when we tell them from a different perspective, we can understand our emotions. And therefore, we understand how we can release them using the same techniques that I share with my clients every day. And when we let go of all that has limited us previously, and that's often due to our beliefs and our conditioning and our programming, the old stories that we've had that no longer serve us, we truly can manifest everything we desire easily and effortlessly. You can ask me how. I do it all the time. And the stronger our belief is, the more we manifest into our everyday lives and into our everyday business. So writing down exactly what you want with clarity and description and detail is one of the key ingredients to manifesting what you want in life. I began to visualize the outcomes I desired clearly and with real clarity. And I set clear intentions to match that as I began to move through my new fears. Because every time you go up a level, we have new fears, right? We have a new wall that we have to break through. And I began creating my new economy for myself, for my new life, and for my new results in my business with such ease. I didn't even realize it was possible until I was doing it. And now as we move into step 7, the butterfly evolves. This is, I think, the most powerful part of my journey and my story. If I think about my life, even just 6 months ago, I would never have imagined that I would be manifesting and attracting the things I am today. If I think about where my business was 6 months ago, I wasn't able to hit the 100K mark. I wasn't, I was earning less than that, which is quite bizarre when I think about it now. I now have a generational wealth system that will create 7 figures in less than a year for anyone, if you follow the system. And working with this has increased my income tenfold. The projection for my next 5 to 6 months is to reach 7 figures. And we are definitely on target for that. I only started this system back in June, and already I've increased and multiplied my business. I have that projection that is very clear, that is very achievable because of what I'm doing. And I am definitely on target to reach 7 figures by March, April next year. Business has been so much fun, easy and surreal for me in these last, well, definitely the last 12 months, but the last couple of years, exploring really where I wanted to go and how I wanted to go and where I wanted to go and how I wanted to do it. And I now work less hours than I ever did before. I was working 7 days a week, and I was working probably 8, 9 hours a day easily, if not more some days. and 7 days a week. And now I easily work maybe 5 hours a day. Some days might be a little bit more, but rarely do I work more than 5 hours a day. And that's not on the weekends. So I have come to a point now where I'm doing everything that I can, and it's helping me to help more people, because I don't want to stop this journey just here. I want to help as many people as I can so they can help more people. I want them to use my tools and strategies and pass them on to their clients. I want them to use my tools and strategies and create more in their lives. And, you know, through coaching them and changing the patterns of old money stories and creating generational wealth, I'm able to do that with people all around the globe, literally working with people all over the world. I have been truly blessed with my experiences, and I have been very gifted with opportunities that I have been given by the universe to change what I was doing to what I am doing today. As we embrace our journey, we evolve, and the beauty within us becomes all that we are meant to be. The future that you see is the future you get. And I get to see absolute freedom. I get to see sitting on the beach with a cocktail. I get to see all that I want in my life. And I get to see it manifesting and achieving those goals, achieving those visions every single day. And I want to share some techniques with you that help me to manifest everything that I desire in life. And I hope that's okay to do that with you. So let's start with number one. Let's let go of the pain. Let's really release that so that we don't have to suffer physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And let's forgive those from your past. And more importantly, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for maybe allowing yourself to feel the way that you feel, or allowing people to treat you less than what you deserve. Connect to your higher source and switch the vibration by switching your thoughts and your feelings and your actions around to be more of who you're meant to be. And let go of any judgment, anger, all of those feelings and emotions that no longer serve you. You don't need to hold on to those. And while you do, you're going to get more of that back. And number 5, be very clear about what you want. Because what you want without clarity, without clear intention, will come back exactly how you think of it and see it or don't see it. And that's what you're going to create more of. Do the work on a daily basis. It really doesn't take long, and it absolutely works. Number 7, release the resistance by recognizing where it comes from. And this is a technique that I help my clients really manage super well so that they can just do it on their own. And look at all opportunities. An open mind has the ability to receive more. A closed mind will not be open to receive anything and won't see anything. How many opportunities rush past you and you come back and you say, oh my God, I wish I had have done that. But it's too late because they often don't come by more than once. Number 9, trust in the process, because all the resources will absolutely show up at exactly the right time. And I can tell you story after story after story about how things showed up for me when I just put all my faith in what I believed in or what I believed was possible. Everything just starts coming. In fact, if you actually, it's quite funny, because if you actually trust in the process and you're trusting in a lot of things to happen, and they start coming so fast, you begin to not be able to manage them. You have to slow it down. And that's exciting for anybody. And number 10, everything that you've been through led you to your path. So harness that energy to create something more. And number 11, understand what your programming is and let go of what no longer serves you, because your beliefs can actually be changed regardless of your age, your culture, your religion, and your gender. I've seen people 70 plus change their beliefs. They've had 70 years of the same stuff, but when they do the work, it works. So don't be afraid to look at the opportunity to be able to change that. And work through your comfort zone. That's what we call growth. People who sit in comfortable positions in life some people go through their whole life without even ever being able to grow. And you're powerful, so be empowered with all that you are. It really does. When you open up to your inner power, you become free, and that's empowerment. And you see the caterpillar evolves into the beauty of the butterfly, which does actually create a ripple effect around the globe. We don't know how far and wide our message goes, particularly in, on days like this where we're sharing our information. And suddenly you'll receive a message from somebody that says, I saw you 6 months ago and you were amazing. How can we work together? And that's what really, really does excite me. And everything that comes into our life is because we've asked for it. We've asked for it both energetically, we've asked for it vibrationally, and that equals your current results. When you put those together, that is creating your results. And the actions that we take, the decisions that we make, all create the life that we have right here, right now. And I am so grateful for everything that I've endured in my journey, even my domestic violence, because it has made me who I am today. It has put me here in front of you today, so I could share my law of attraction and broken to butterfly story with you. So here's how I can serve you better. Law of attraction and manifestation techniques work. How can you work with me? Well, if you'd like to begin or continue your law of attraction and manifestation and generational wealth journey, then please book a free call with me. I think Rose has all the details and might be able to pop those in the comments. Law of Attraction program is waiting for you. It's waiting for you right here, right now, today. And if you're interested, then you can find out more with just booking a free coaching session with me and find out where you're at. Again, I think Rose has that, although I think that link's changed, Rose, but we can sort that out. And here's what some of my clients have said about me. I have been part of the Law of Attraction Secrets Uncovered program, and I thoroughly recommend the program. Very collaborative, and you will see results. Amazing experience. I think that was from Angie. I recommend Donna as a coach. She knows what you need and is flexible in her approach as a coach. Donna takes the time to listen and is very experienced in her craft. If needed, she will go an extra mile. That's from Yosei. And the next one is the course. This course takes something. It takes persistence, consistency, guts, commitment to yourself, and the willingness to look at yourself from a deeper level if you do it. You'll find gold and increase in your self-confidence, and you will begin to find things falling into your lap. It's the beginning of the next and expanded phase of your life. Go for it. You're worth it. And that was from Sharon. And she was an amazing participant in my Law of Attraction program. So our next decision could be life-changing. Are you committed? Are you ready to accept this call of abundance? Because abundance is calling you every single day. And today's decisions will affect the rest of your life. So make sure the decisions that you commit to are going to change the rest of your life for the better. Thank you for listening to my story today, and I really appreciate you being here. Happy manifesting to each and every one, and I really, again, appreciate that. And Rose, I'm sure if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer those as well.
I've put a link to your website in the chat, and so they can reach you through that.
Yeah, Facebook's probably better. My website is probably not a preference, but they can find me on Unique Vibrations on Facebook. That's my most active platform, or just under Donna Ferguson, either way. Yeah.
Sharing, to get access to all of the links, they need to become a VIP, and to do that you can register through Eventbrite at Talking with the Experts Online Global Business Summit, and just purchase a VIP ticket and you get access to all of the videos from the 3 days and all of the presenters' gifts. So yeah, so thank you, Donna. I so enjoyed that. That was absolutely an amazing presentation.
Thank you.
The law of attraction is something that we should all be looking into, because it's such great benefit, and it really is a true thing. It does actually work if you do it in the right way, and practicing gratitude is one of the first ways to be able to manifest whatever it is that you want in your life.
Absolutely. That is one of the first things that we work through with a lot of people, with a lot of my clients, is how to be gratitude, how to be grateful even about the things that aren't necessarily a positive event. So it's finding the gratitude within all of that to be able to move forward, because there's always something you can be grateful for in that.
Absolutely. There's a silver lining to every dark cloud. I find I'm the eternal optimist, and if something goes wrong, then there's always something that's always right about it. It's always a learning experience. There's never anything, no one fails at anything. It's just a learning experience.
Yeah, we all learn how to do things differently, right? It's who was it that had 10,000 goes at making something happen? Was it oh my gosh,
yes, that was him. Yes, Ben Franklin.
And on the 10,001st time it worked.
Yeah, so just persistence is key.
Yeah, absolutely. Rose, amazing job that you're doing here. And, I know what it's like to run a summit myself. So congratulations to you for stepping up and doing this too. So
thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, Donna. I always enjoy speaking with you and listening to your story. It's very touching and heartfelt, and we can all learn great lessons from you and from all of the law of attraction practitioners that are out there. So I encourage you to reach out to Donna, and she will lead you and put you on the right track to the law of attraction.
Certainly will. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Rose.
Donna. Bye for now.
Bye.